The crisp, fall air of Boston greeted me as I stepped out of the cab, eager to surprise Grant. I had left work early, a rare occurrence given my relentless work ethic. As a successful software developer, my life was a whirlwind of deadlines and code, but tonight, I wanted to put all that aside. Grant, my husband, was an aspiring artist, struggling to find his place in the world. He had always been my rock, my sanctuary amidst the chaos of my career. I remembered the day he had entered my life, after I had collapsed from exhaustion, promising to be my protector, my partner. As I pushed open the door to our apartment, the sound of laughter and clinking glasses met my ears. My heart sank as I saw Grant sitting at the dining table, a bottle of wine open between him and a young woman. She was beautiful, with a cascade of golden curls and a laugh that echoed through the room. I recognized her as Clara, an aspiring actress who had recently moved to the city. "Elise," Grant exclaimed, his face paling as he saw me. "You're home early." "Yes," I replied, my voice cold. "I thought I'd surprise you." Clara turned to me, her eyes gleaming with a strange light. "Oh, Elise," she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "I was just telling Grant about my plans. I'm going to take everything from you." I stared at her, my heart pounding in my chest. I wanted to laugh, to dismiss her words as a joke, but something in her eyes told me she was serious. I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized that my life was about to change forever. Flashbacks of my life with Grant flooded my mind. The late nights at the office, the countless times he had comforted me when I was on the brink of exhaustion, the promises we had made to each other. I had trusted him, had believed in him, and now I was standing in my own home, facing a woman who wanted to take everything from me. I looked at Grant, his face a mask of guilt and fear. I knew then that everything was about to change. I was about to embark on a journey that would test my resilience, my determination, and my belief in the power of karma. "Well, Clara," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me, "it looks like we have a lot to discuss." And with those words, I took the first step on a path that would change my life forever. I was determined to uncover the truth, to expose Grant's deceit, and to ensure that karma, in all its powerful glory, would have its way. The days following the shocking revelation were a blur. I tried to maintain a semblance of normalcy, going to work, interacting with colleagues, but my mind was elsewhere. I couldn't shake off Clara's words, her audacious claim echoing in my head. I observed Grant, his actions, his words, searching for signs of deceit. One evening, as we sat down for dinner, I decided to confront him. "Grant," I began, my voice steady, "what's going on between you and Clara?" He looked up, surprise flashing across his face. "What do you mean?" "I mean," I said, my voice hardening, "why was she here, in our home, making such outrageous claims?" Grant sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Elise, it's not what you think. Clara is she's a bit dramatic. She didn't mean it." I stared at him, my heart pounding. His words did little to quell my suspicions. I remembered the way they had laughed together, the intimacy in their voices. I knew Grant was hiding something. Over the next few weeks, I noticed changes in Grant's behavior. He was distant, often lost in thought. He started coming home late, his excuse always a new art project or a meeting with a potential client. I also noticed his lavish spending habits. Expensive art supplies, dinners at upscale restaurants, gifts for Clara, no doubt. One day, as I was cleaning our bedroom, I found a receipt tucked away in the pocket of his jeans. It was from a jewelry store, a receipt for a necklace worth thousands of dollars. A necklace I had never seen. My heart sank as realization dawned. Grant was having an affair with Clara. My suspicions were confirmed a few days later when I received a text meant for Clara. "I miss you," it read. "Can't wait to see you tonight." The text was from Grant. Anger surged through me. I felt betrayed, hurt, but more than that, I felt a burning desire for retribution. I wouldn't let Grant get away with this. I decided then and there to expose his deceit, to make him pay for his actions. I remembered the promises we had made to each other, the vows of love and loyalty. I remembered the way he had comforted me when I was stressed, the way he had promised to always be there for me. And now he was betraying me with another woman. I was determined to uncover the truth, to expose Grant's deceit. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I was ready. I was ready to face whatever lay ahead, ready to fight for justice. And so I began my journey of revenge, fueled by the power of karma. I knew that Grant's actions would have consequences, that he would have to pay for the pain he had caused, and I was determined to make sure he did. "Grant," I said, my voice cold as I confronted him with the text and the receipt. "We need to talk." And with those words, I took another step on my path of revenge, ready to face whatever lay ahead, ready to ensure that karma, in all its powerful glory, would have its way. With the evidence of Grant's affair in my hands, I was determined to uncover the full extent of his deceit. I turned to the one person I knew I could trust, Sarah, my childhood friend and a private investigator. "Sarah," I said, my voice trembling as I showed her the text and the receipt, "I need your help." Sarah looked at me, her eyes filled with sympathy. "Of course, Elise," she said. "I'm here for you." Over the next few weeks, Sarah and I worked together to unravel Grant's web of lies. We discovered a pattern of manipulation and deceit that stretched back years. Grant had a history of preying on successful women, using his charm to secure his financial and social standing. We found financial records showing large transfers of money from Grant's accounts to Clara's. We found testimonies from past relationships, women who had been manipulated and used by Grant. Each piece of evidence was a blow, a testament to Grant's vile nature. One day, as we were going through Grant's emails, we found a message from Clara. "I can't wait to have everything you have," she wrote. "Your money, your status, your life." Anger surged through me as I read her words. I couldn't believe the audacity, the sheer cruelty of their plan. But I also felt a sense of resolve. I was more determined than ever to expose Grant, to make him pay for his actions. I remembered the promises we had made to each other, the vows of love and loyalty. I remembered the way he had comforted me when I was stressed, the way he had promised to always be there for me. And now he was betraying me with another woman, planning to take everything I had worked so hard for. I was determined to uncover the truth, to expose Grant's deceit. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I was ready. I was ready to face whatever lay ahead, ready to fight for justice. "Sarah," I said, my voice steady, "we need to gather more evidence. We need to expose Grant for who he really is." And so we continued our investigation, determined to uncover the truth. I knew that Grant's actions would have consequences, that he would have to pay for the pain he had caused, and I was determined to make sure he did. As we delved deeper into Grant's past, I began to see him in a new light. The man I had loved, the man I had trusted, was a stranger to me. He was a manipulator, a liar, a man willing to do anything to get what he wanted. But I also saw something else. I saw a strength within myself, a resilience I hadn't known I possessed. I was determined to fight back, to expose Grant's deceit, and ensure that karma, in all its powerful glory, would have its way. "Grant," I said, confronting him with the evidence we had gathered, "I know what you've done." And with those words, I took another step on my path of revenge, ready to face whatever lay ahead, ready to ensure that justice and karma would prevail. With the evidence of Grant's deceit in hand, I was ready to take the next step. I was determined to expose Grant, to make him pay for his actions, but I knew I needed a plan, a strategy to ensure his downfall. I turned to Sarah for help. "Sarah," I said, my voice determined, "I need to expose Grant. I need to make him pay for what he's done." Sarah nodded, her eyes filled with understanding. "We need a plan," she said. "A strategy to expose Grant's true nature to Clara and the public." Over the next few days, Sarah and I worked together to devise a plan. We decided to gather more evidence, damning proof of Grant's past and current duplicities. We would record his conversations, collect financial records, and gather testimonies from his past relationships. We also decided to confront Grant and Clara publicly, to expose Grant's true nature in front of everyone. We chose a public event, a charity gala that Grant and Clara were attending. It was the perfect opportunity to confront them, to expose Grant's deceit in front of everyone. As the day of the gala approached, I felt a mix of emotions: fear, anger, determination. I was scared of what lay ahead, but I was also determined to expose Grant, to make him pay for his actions. The night of the gala, I was a bundle of nerves. I watched as Grant and Clara entered the room, their arms linked, their laughter echoing through the hall. I felt a surge of anger, a burning desire for revenge. As the evening progressed, I waited for the right moment, and then, as Grant and Clara took the stage to make a speech, I made my move. "Grant," I said, my voice loud and clear, cutting through the chatter of the crowd. I have something to say. The room fell silent as I stepped forward, my heart pounding in my chest. I looked at Grant, his face pale, his eyes filled with fear. I looked at Clara, her eyes wide, her mouth open in surprise. I know about your affair, I said, my voice steady. I know about your plans to take everything from me. I have evidence, proof of your deceit. I presented the evidence we had gathered, the recordings, the financial records, the testimonies. I watched as Grant's face paled, as Clara's eyes filled with realization. I watched as the crowd reacted, their shock, their disbelief. This is your true nature, Grant, I said, my voice filled with contempt. A manipulator, a liar, a man willing to do anything to get what he wants. And with those words, I exposed Grant's deceit, his true nature. I watched as his reputation crumbled, as Clara realized the truth. I watched as karma, in all its powerful glory, began to take its course. Grant, I said, my voice cold, you will pay for what you've done. And with those words, I took another step on my path of revenge, ready to face whatever lay ahead, ready to ensure that justice and karma would prevail. The room was silent as I finished speaking, the air thick with tension. I could see the shock on Clara's face, the realization of Grant's betrayal sinking in. I turned to Grant, his face pale, his eyes filled with fear. Grant, I said, my voice cold, you have some explaining to do. Grant tried to defend himself, to deny the evidence, but his words rang hollow, his lies exposed. I watched as Clara turned away from him, her face filled with disgust. I watched as the crowd reacted, their shock, their disbelief. Elise, Clara said, her voice trembling. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. I looked at her, my heart filled with sympathy. I knew what it felt like to be manipulated by Grant, to be deceived. It's not your fault, Clara, I said, my voice gentle. He deceived us both. I turned to Grant, my voice hardening. You will pay for what you've done, Grant. You will pay for the pain you've caused. In the days that followed, I worked with Sarah to ensure that Grant faced the consequences of his actions. We presented our evidence to the authorities, leading to fraud charges and lawsuits from past relationships. We also used the media to expose Grant's deceit, warning others about his predatory behavior. I watched as Grant's social and professional circles abandoned him, as Clara led the charge, using her influence to further isolate him. I watched as his reputation crumbled, as he was held accountable for his actions. I also took legal steps to protect myself, legally binding Grant to the debts incurred during our marriage, stripping him of financial resources. I was determined to ensure that he would face the consequences of his actions, that he would pay for the pain he had caused. As I watched Grant's downfall, I felt a sense of satisfaction. I had exposed his deceit, had ensured that karma, in all its powerful glory, had its way. But I also felt a sense of sadness, a sense of loss. I mourned the man I had loved, the man I had trusted. I mourned the life we could have had. But I also felt a sense of strength, a sense of resilience. I had faced my fears, had fought for justice. I had survived Grant's betrayal, had exposed his deceit. I was ready to move on, to rebuild my life. Grant, I said, confronting him one last time, I hope you've learned your lesson. I hope you realize the pain you've caused. And with those words, I closed the door on that chapter of my life, ready to face whatever lay ahead, ready to embrace my newfound independence and strength, determined to live my life with wisdom and caution, but also with hope for the future. In the aftermath of the exposure, Grant's life began to unravel. His social and professional circles abandoned him, his reputation in tatters. He was a pariah, a man exposed for his deceit and manipulation. Clara led the charge against him, using her influence to further isolate him. She spoke out about his deceit, warning others about his predatory behavior. She became an advocate for victims of relationship fraud, using her experience to help others. I watched from a distance as Grant's life crumbled, as he faced the consequences of his actions. I felt a sense of satisfaction, a sense of justice. But I also felt a sense of sadness, a sense of loss. I mourned the man I had loved, the man I had trusted. I mourned the life we could have had. But I also felt a sense of strength, a sense of resilience. I had faced my fears, had fought for justice. I had survived Grant's betrayal, had exposed his deceit. I was ready to move on, to rebuild my life. I took legal steps to finalize my divorce from Grant, ensuring that he was held accountable for the debts incurred during our marriage. I was determined to protect myself, to ensure that I was not dragged down by his actions. As the divorce proceedings progressed, I began to reflect on my experience. I realized that I had been given a second chance, an opportunity to rebuild my life, to find happiness. I was determined to use this opportunity to make the most of my second chance. I also realized that I had a story to tell, a story that could help others. I decided to use my experience to empower other women, to warn them about the dangers of relationship fraud. I started a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting victims of relationship fraud, using my story to inspire and empower others. As I worked to rebuild my life, I watched as Grant faced the legal repercussions of his actions. He was charged with fraud, facing lawsuits from past relationships. He was a man on the brink, a man facing the consequences of his actions. "Grant," I said, confronting him one last time, "I hope you've learned your lesson. I hope you realize the pain you've caused." And with those words, I closed the door on that chapter of my life, ready to face whatever lay ahead, ready to embrace my newfound independence and strength, determined to live my life with wisdom and caution, but also with hope for the future. I watched as Grant's life continued to unravel as he faced the consequences of his actions. I watched as he was held accountable for his deceit, for the pain he had caused. And I knew that karma, in all its powerful glory, had prevailed. In the end, Grant's descent was a testament to the power of karma, a testament to the power of justice. He had manipulated and deceived, had caused pain and suffering, and in the end he had faced the consequences of his actions, had paid the price for his deceit. And I had survived. I had exposed his deceit, had fought for justice. I had rebuilt my life, had found strength and resilience. I was a testament to the power of survival, a testament to the power of hope. And so I moved on, ready to face whatever lay ahead, ready to embrace my new life, my newfound independence and strength, ready to live my life with wisdom and caution, but also with hope for the future, ready to ensure that karma, in all its powerful glory, would always prevail. As the legal proceedings against Grant progressed, I watched from a distance, my focus on rebuilding my life. I had moved into a new apartment, had started a new job. I was determined to move on, to leave the past behind. But I also watched as Grant faced the consequences of his actions. He was found guilty of fraud, facing hefty fines and lawsuits from past relationships. His reputation was in tatters. His social and professional circles abandoned him. He was a man on the brink, a man paying the price for his deceit. I felt a sense of satisfaction, a sense of justice. I had exposed his deceit, had fought for justice. I had ensured that he was held accountable for his actions, that he paid the price for the pain he had caused. But I also felt a sense of closure, a sense of peace. I had moved on, had rebuilt my life. I was no longer defined by Grant's deceit, by his betrayal. I was defined by my strength, my resilience. I continued to work with my nonprofit organization, using my experience to empower other women. I spoke at events, sharing my story, warning others about the dangers of relationship fraud. I became an advocate for victims, using my voice to inspire and empower. One day, as I was preparing for a speaking event, I received a call from Sarah. "Elise," she said, her voice filled with excitement, "you won't believe it. Grant has been sentenced." I felt a surge of emotions, a mix of satisfaction and relief. "How long?" I asked, my voice steady. 5 years, Sarah replied, "and he's been ordered to pay restitution to his victims." I felt a sense of justice, a sense of closure. Grant was paying the price for his actions, was being held accountable for his deceit. I knew that his sentence wouldn't erase the pain he had caused, but it was a step towards healing, towards justice. "Elise," Sarah said, her voice gentle, "you did it. You exposed his deceit. You fought for justice. You should be proud." And I was proud. I was proud of my strength, my resilience. I was proud of my determination, my fight for justice. I was proud of my survival, my ability to rebuild my life. In the days that followed, I continued to work with my nonprofit organization, continued to empower other women. I watched as Grant's sentence made headlines, as his story became a cautionary tale. I watched as others were inspired by my story, as they found the strength to fight back, to expose deceit. And I knew that my journey, my fight for justice, had come full circle. I had exposed Grant's deceit, had ensured that he was held accountable for his actions. I had rebuilt my life, had found strength and resilience. I had become an advocate for others, had used my experience to inspire and empower. "Grant," I said, his name a distant memory. "You underestimated me. You underestimated the power of karma." And with those words, I closed the door on that chapter of my life, ready to face whatever lay ahead, ready to embrace my new life, my newfound independence and strength, ready to live my life with wisdom and caution, but also with hope for the future, ready to ensure that karma, in all its powerful glory, would always prevail. With Grant's sentence and the closure it brought, I was able to fully focus on rebuilding my life. I threw myself into my work, using my skills as a software developer to make a difference. I also dedicated more time to my nonprofit organization, using my experience to help others. One day, as I was working at the office, I received a visit from Clara. I was surprised to see her, but I welcomed her warmly. "Clara," I said, my voice gentle, "what brings you here?" Clara looked at me, her eyes filled with gratitude. "I wanted to thank you, Elise," she said. "You saved me from making a huge mistake. You exposed Grant for who he truly is." I looked at Clara, my heart filled with sympathy. I knew what it felt like to be manipulated by Grant, to be deceived. "It's not your fault, Clara," I said, my voice gentle. "He deceived us both." Clara nodded, her eyes filling with tears. "I know," she said, "but I still feel guilty. I still feel like I contributed to your pain." I reached out, taking Clara's hand in mine. "You didn't contribute to my pain, Clara," I said, my voice firm. "Grant did. He is the one responsible for his actions, for the pain he caused." Clara looked at me, her eyes filled with determination. "I want to help, Elise," she said. "I want to use my experience to help others, to warn them about the dangers of relationship fraud." I felt a surge of pride, a sense of hope. Clara had turned her pain into power, had used her experience to inspire and empower. "I would love that, Clara," I said, my voice filled with gratitude. "Together, we can make a difference." Over the next few months, Clara and I worked together, using our experiences to help others. We spoke at events, shared our stories, warned others about the dangers of relationship fraud. We became advocates for victims, using our voices to inspire and empower. As I worked with Clara, I realized that my journey had come full circle. I had exposed Grant's deceit, had ensured that he was held accountable for his actions. I had rebuilt my life, had found strength and resilience. I had become an advocate for others, had used my experience to inspire and empower. But I also realized that my journey was not just about revenge, about exposing Grant's deceit. It was about rebuilding, about empowerment. It was about turning pain into power, about using my experience to help others. And so I continued to work with Clara, continued to empower others. I watched as my nonprofit organization grew, as we helped more and more victims of relationship fraud. I watched as others found the strength to fight back, to expose deceit. And I knew that my journey, my fight for justice, had led me to this point. I had exposed Grant's deceit, had ensured that he was held accountable for his actions. I had rebuilt my life, had found strength and resilience. I had become an advocate for others, had used my experience to inspire and empower. "Grant," I said, his name a distant memory. "You underestimated me. You underestimated the power of karma. But most of all, you underestimated the power of rebuilding, of empowerment." And with those words, I closed the door on that chapter of my life, ready to face whatever lay ahead, ready to embrace my new life, my newfound independence and strength, ready to live my life with wisdom and caution, but also with hope for the future, ready to ensure that karma, in all its powerful glory, would always prevail, ready to continue my journey of rebuilding and empowerment.